in the aspect that they're waiting on God to do something.
Do the work. How can God bless us?
That part. If you're gonna pursue something, understand what it is that you're pursuing. Right? Like eventually you're gonna get tired, you're gonna wear out, you're gonna have.
You handle criticism from people.
What you think?
I actually had to think about that, but I actually faced it recently. Like, for example, you know, of course, when it comes to the word, we're supposed to wait before we be intimate with our spouse or what have you, or just being married. We supposed to, wait until we're married to have sex. So, of course, that topic came about when people hear that you're Christian. Oh, so what do you think about this? Like, so what? You don't drink no more? You don't do those things no more? So, of course, those questions has been asked, right? So when I'll be like, hey, I used to do those things. I used to have sex out of marriage. I used to drink. I used to smoke hookah. But also, you don't do it no more. Why? Because it's not against, like, it's against, like, God or whatever. But aren't you supposed to come as you are? So they will mock me as well. But I'll be like, hey, according to the word, we're supposed to wait until we get married or what have you to have sex. And honestly, at first it used to bother me, but when it comes to that type of criticism, I no longer take offense to it because I know that is how we're supposed to live. That's the biblical principle of how we're supposed to live. And not even biblically, but also just building a relationship with Christ. You no longer desire to do those things.
Man.
Don't lie. I'm not gonna lie though. Now I still be craving,
No, but so that.
Yeah, but it's like just dying to flesh.
Yeah.
But me, I would no longer take offense, but I'll go ahead and educate them. Like, hey, I used to do that, but I no longer do it. Not because. Not only because the word says you're not supposed to do it, but as I got closer to God, I no longer had those desires.
For sure.
Those desires decreased.
I feel like you found what it is. I feel like what it is, my perspective is like you found purpose. And with purpose, it comes with intention. If I'm going to do something on purpose, I have to have an intent behind it.
Wow.
So you having the intent of why you're not doing something, you found a purpose and you being intentional with the purpose of what it is that you found.
I like that.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why you stand firm on what you believe.
Correct.
And I believe it all falls down to that faith aspect and what you believe as well. It's like, yeah.
That's true. Okay. That was good.
Locking in purpose, man.
Okay. Locking in purpose. That's yeah. So the real question is, do you believe as believers, therapy is needed in order to elevate us now in our walk overall? Because let me elaborate a little bit, right? Because as this is going to be in a too religious aspect. Because as some believers, they believe that Christ is just, he is. I'm not watering my Lord Jesus Christ down. But they just believe Christ is all that they need. Christ will heal them from past traumas, wound, and even unlearning bad habits and behaviors. So do you believe that, by you being a believer now and you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, you don't need therapy, you're all good? Or do you believe that we need both?
Yeah. Honestly, I believe you don't need therapy, to be honest with you, in my perspective, because I believe that the reason why people go to therapy is to get a sense of awareness of why I acted like this as a kid, awareness of why I'm acting like this now, awareness of why I want to get to, why am I striving, why am I achieving? When you can ask yourself a simple question as far as why, if you want a better answer in life, you have to ask better questions. So I believe people go to therapy to get somebody else to ask them a good question. When you can internally ask yourself a good question, like, why do you go to therapy?
Okay. So I am in therapy.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
I am in therapy. So just like how you were saying that they go there to have awareness. So what if this person have difficulty of just communicating overall? How would that person be aware to ask themselves that particular question if they cannot communicate in the beginning?
Why do I struggle with communication?
Let's just say you grew up in a household that communication was not a thing. You just do what you were told, and even when you would try to voice your opinions, you would get shot down, or your opinions or your feelings didn't matter. So you just pretty much carried everything in your heart, and you just felt like your voice wasn't heard. So,
okay, now why do I want to get better at communication?
You want to get better at communication at your adult age to not only have a successful career, but also build meaningful connections that's going to actually up level you in life. When it comes to family, friends, career, you're going to have to learn how to communicate.
Where, so now, what are some steps that I could possibly do to get better at communication?
First, I believe to even get to that point, for example, I'm in therapy, right? I've noticed that when it comes to communicating, I can communicate, but only to a certain extent, right? When it comes to like verbalizing my feelings, I can either come off very short and distant, or if I feel very passionate about the situation, I could be very outspoken and direct and not be so nice about it. So there is a friction there when it comes to my communication skills, which I'm still working on in therapy. But I was aware, like that was brought to my attention. I thought all these years I was communicating well, but it stemmed from childhood. So the fact that I was aware of that, which I wasn't.
See, people go to therapy to get a sense of awareness of why.
Okay.
When it's like, you could ask yourself why the whole time.
But how do I unlearn that though? How do I learn not to be so outspoken or not to be so preserved in my feeling? Like, how would I know? Okay, so I got that awareness, but how would that person know how to move forward to actually unlearn those things that you've been doing all those years?
Okay, so there's a sense of why do I act this way? And you find out the reason. I act this way because I had past trauma. Now, why do I want to get past this past trauma? I want to get past this past trauma so that I could build a fruitful life for myself and my family. Okay, now what have I learned? What have I learned from what it is that I've been through? How's that affected me? And what can I do now to switch that? So if I know I let this thing affect me because like I was just pondering on the moment of how bad that person did me. Or I could be like, you know what? That person did me bad. I want to do better for myself. So what can I do for myself right now to like fix that in a sense? You get what I'm saying? So just like, it just actually realizing the problem at hand. I feel like that's the first thing, is actually figuring out the problem. Like once you figure out a problem, if there's a problem, there's an answer.
Yeah.
Like there's always, two sides of everything. I feel like have you ever seen a one-sided coin?
No.
Have you ever seen a one-sided piece of bread?
No.
Maybe a one-sided slice of paper?
No.
No. There's always two sides to something. Yeah. So if there's a problem, there's an answer. Like, and I just believe like if you could really find a problem, you can find an answer.
Oh, yes, I agree.
I
agree.
Yeah.
But no.
Okay.
I still believe that you still need both. Right? Reason being. So since I am aware, I'm not going to say me, forget me.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it could be other people that maybe went through way worse than I have. Like, like rape or like suicidal thoughts, mental illness in a sense, right? So, okay, yes, you become aware of these things. So once you become aware of them, what next? Like how like what if those people what if
Give example, yeah.
Okay, what if those like individuals just don't even know where to start? Yeah, they're aware that of course their communication skills might be poor because of those traumas, or they have these thoughts because of those traumas, but they're aware of it. Okay, so how would they even start? Like, how would they even know where to start when it comes to their healing journey overall? Yes, I have the word. I know what God says about me. Beautifully and wonderfully made.
Yeah.
I'm made in his image. All these amazing things. He loves me so much. He died on the cross for me. All these things. There's all these biblical stories that tells me about the trials and the tribulations that people went through. How do I know where to start though? And I believe that when it comes to therapy, someone that's actually like in the profession as professional, they can give me that answer. Like, okay, hey, I know you went through this thing. Let's just start off maybe reflecting on who you are, right? Let's not think about the trauma. Let's just say, oh, so like, I know this happened to you, but what are some things that you like about yourself?
They switching your perspective on the scenario. That's all it is, I feel like.
What do you mean?
Like the same way that you just asked that question, they switching the perspective of the image that you have of yourself. I believe like everything is just perception. Like how you perceive yourself. Why do you perceive yourself in that manner? Based on the trauma that I had. But, they're giving you an answer to something you told them. So that means you had the root to the answer that they gave you.
Yeah.
If you didn't give them, it's like you were adding the content, they just added the context. And that's what I believe, like, what to be success, like, I would just say in sales or just to be successful in general is like, you have to have that mannerism, I say, or just that aspect. And it's like being able to, in yourself, being able to provide the content and like, okay, have somebody provide the content, and then have another person provide the context in a sense. Like, you get what I'm saying? I believe that's what that whole process is.
For therapy.
Yeah, like you provide the content, that person is just taking what it is that you said and changing the perspective or adding context onto it.
Therapy also teaches you how to pretty much how you should act in different scenarios as well, right? Because if you were raised a certain way, island people, island folks, we're island. For sure. We have, not we, because we're more modern, but like our parents, they think and do things a certain way because that's how they were raised, right? And of course, they raised us, so we have those type of characteristics as well. Yeah. But what if we are part of why our trauma happened to us? Because nothing that we necessarily did, but just because how we were raised. Yeah. And it just happened to us, right? So like, how would I believe that therapists can also say, okay, I've noticed, because she even told me this too, I've noticed because you do come from a more island background, this is why the way you do and you think a certain way, because this is how you were raised. Yeah. And the fact that she even pointed out, I wouldn't even be able to figure that out. No, really? Because no.
If you were to ask yourself, why do I act this way?
I wouldn't think because it was how I was raised or
why. No. If I was to like, why do I get mad so easily? Like, you know, like it would come, like, you wouldn't think, like, it wouldn't fall back to like a past experience as to why. Like, if you actually think, because there's something I learned is like most people in life generally don't think. They only think that they think. So if you actually think and ponder on a question, like, why do I act this way? Deeply and truly, why? Why do I feel like I have to act for validation? Because my dad wasn't in my life. Boom. Okay. Now, how do I want to fix this, and how do I want to fix this approach? How does this affect me? Then that affected my way that I approach men. That affected the way that I see men. Dang, how do I want to see men? I want to see men as handsome, beautiful, whatever. So now you start treating that man as that, in that way, in that manner, instead of treating him as a respect based on that why. So it's like, just ask yourself and think about it, ponder, why? Just like, why? Like, that's the biggest answer. Like, why did Jesus Christ die on the cross for my sins? Why? The whole reason he did everything was why? Right. Why? For salvation. Everything has a why. And if you can focus on the why, you're going to get the result every time. I feel
exactly. You could get that through therapy as well.
Yeah. Honestly, it depends on the person. If you're not good at asking yourself why and getting down to the root, then you need another perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. So you're going to, it depends on the person. Yeah, not everyone has the skill to ask themselves why. Yeah, for sure. So it's like so you believe that you don't need therapy because you are self-aware and you always ask yourself this.
Why? Yeah. Facts. I believe that. Yeah, and some people need other people to ask them why.
To get another perspective, because at the end of the day, like, you see how you.
No, you're good.
You see how you're just like, okay, yes, you're self-aware and you can ask yourself why. I can too. But I believe that it's better from a person that don't know me, don't know my parents, don't know where I came from, and also can give me a true answer and a perspective in a professional way.
Ooh, this is okay. You kind of got me intrigued right there.
Right, in a professional way. Yeah. With no strings attached or nothing, because I can't ask my best friend, "Oh, this is what happened to me, this and that." But she knows me. She knows my parents. She knows everything about me. So it's gonna be it's gonna be like on my side in a sense. Yeah. Even though, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. So I like what you said when you said you're asking somebody who doesn't know you a question about yourself. Who knows you more than you, other than yourself, would be God. No, so like, and that's why I believe, like, me personally, I don't need anybody else to consult me in this manner, because it's like, you don't know me that much. You're going to tell me about me, you don't even know me. How does that work? That's one. It's like, I know me and God knows me. So who? It's like a and B conversation. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Two people that know me the most.
Yeah.
So it's like, I get what you're saying. Another perspective. I get that. But like, yeah, I'm trying to wrap my
You
head around
are just like grinding my. Y'all. Listen.
I'm trying to like wrap my head around it.
But listen, and you know what? Okay, and since we're on this therapy topic, men specifically, right? I believe women are more open to the therapy analogy, but men, they're so against it. And there is honestly more men that does need therapy because they battle with being vulnerable. They're battling with mental illness, depression, all these type of things that they won't even speak about because they feel like it will make them look less valuable or less masculine because they're experiencing those things. But how many men see how you're super aware? There's men are smart. I'm not saying men are not smart, but how many men are out there that are not self-aware, that cannot ask themselves that why and things of that nature? Like that is actually having a hard time getting to where you are because not everyone thinks like you.
I say finding their purpose. I feel like it generally falls from purpose. Don't you think? Like,
yes, it does. It does.
Like if you want an answer, like we've been talking about it, the whole reason is asking why.
Yeah.
But if you have no purpose, there's no reason to ask why. If I'm going throughout life doing whatever it is that I need to do, doing whatever it is, I feel like I have no purpose. So there's no reason for me to ask why.
Yeah.
Like if I have no purpose in life, I have no drive to get to somewhere. There's no reason I would ask myself, why do I act this way? I'm just going to be like this till the day I die. That's why most people are stubborn and part of that mediocre many. Falls from purpose and reasoning. Because the reasoning is the one that gives you the purpose. And the purpose is the one that gives you reason. Why do I wake up every morning? Because of purpose. That gives me reason. Right. That reason gives me purpose. It's like they combat hand in hand. It's like yin and yang. Like Jesus Christ, God, and the Holy Spirit. They're like, it's just one.
This is true, though. Yeah. That's why I'm in therapy, though. That's why I'm in therapy.
And that's why most men who don't do that, they don't have a purpose. And they don't have that why. So like many female don't, you know what I'm saying? Like don't see that man as like, how can you say, I guess just a figure to look up to, I guess you could say. Like women are supposed to be submissive. And I seen something, some lady says like submissive. You break it down, submission. Like you have to be sub to a mission. If that person has no purpose, no mission, you can't be sub to no. You feel me?
Wow. Yeah.
So it's like, like you get what I'm saying?
Yes, I totally understand.
Yeah, but like, so purpose and why? Like
purpose and why?
Purpose and why?
That's my reason as to why I'm in therapy, right? Because at the end of the day,
you have a
purpose
that you're trying to figure out, that you're trying to get closer to.
Correct. Yeah. Everyone has a purpose.
Word.
Everybody, but it's just you got to tap in to find your purpose.
Yeah.
And I believe that's another way as to why we need therapy. That's another way why we need therapy, because not everyone knows. Like, yes, especially new believers as well. Like, new believers, they come from the world. Of course, there's trauma there. There can be addictions there, bondages and sins there, and they're trying to get closer to God, but it's friction there because they're battling from their flesh, the enemy, and of course trying to get closer to Christ. There's friction there. So of course some people may need that extra boost in therapy. Okay, hey, let's get to the root as to why you keep going back to those same sins that give you comfort. Because that's another way as well. Like, people need therapy to release that comfort of doing the past sins that they used to do and actually move along. And it could be hard.
Yeah. I feel like it's a way of opening up. I feel like a lot of people don't open up. I feel like maybe, possibly.
Do you feel like people don't open up?
Open up. I feel like therapy creates an environment for people to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable.
Like, I see it in a perspective, like me, the only reason I could be so aware of all these things is being to the fact that I spend alone time with myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm able to understand myself so much that if anything outside of my normal behavior happens, it's, hold on, what the heck is going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like being able to spot a blemish in a all clean, pure, holy surface.
Yeah.
You're going to spot it right away because you spent so much time in an environment. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you in your house, you could spot out certain impurities and imperfections in the house because you live here. You know, you see it every day. You're so familiar with it.
Right.
So once you get familiar with yourself and with God, it's like you already know what's wrong with you. You know,
Yeah.
that's why I believe therapy isn't. But it takes a different time period to get to know yourself. Like, do you really want to get to know yourself? Do you really want to get to know God?
Yeah.
I feel like once you get that, like, it just becomes so much easier life and it's as a whole. Because like you'll be able to pinpoint an answer and solve your problem in life like this.
It comes over time though. It does come over time.
Mm-hmm.
It does also include spending time with Jesus.
Yeah.
Again though.
Yeah.
We have to learn how, like, also, like you said, like, go into the root of things, right? Not everyone's aware to like actually tap into the root, because also in therapy,
Yeah.
I learned about different styles when it comes to like building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
How there's avoidant styles, how there's needy attachment styles, and things of that nature. So it kind of also makes me aware of how when I come in contact with an individual, what to be aware of, and to see how I can navigate that relationship overall. Versus like me, I was oblivious to the type of style that they were telling me in therapy, and it kind of explained those past failed relationships, because not only we wasn't on the same page, but it made me aware of who I could be around, or who can receive me, how I can receive others, and things like that. It made me more aware of that. So that's another way as well, though, because it's not only personal therapy is beneficial, but also when it comes to like building relationships and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So
I love that you said that, and I just had to, like, based on you saying that, something popped up in my head. It's like, we go to, like, a lot of people go to therapy, but how did these therapists even get to this point to be able to give you an answer? And it came down through studying,
Yeah.
And that's why I said, like, alone time with yourself, and being able to study yourself, study your partner, study God, study your Bible. That's why it's called Bible study. You get what I'm saying? Like, everything, it just falls from the study of it. Yeah. That's why you go to school. You go to school to study a subject, to learn. It doesn't take somebody else to study something. Because if you look at the person who, let's say, for example, the person who came up with therapy as a whole, the very first person to come up with therapy, like, or come up with the study of psychology, they fell in love with something so much that they like, if you get what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying?
Like, so you believe that
if you study
yourself, that you will not need to
have somebody else to study you.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. This is why we're gonna be here forever.
No, for sure.
Honestly, guys, leave down in the comments. What do you guys think? This is good, but what do you guys think? Honestly,
therapy or no therapy?
Right, therapy or no therapy? Yeah. As a believer, do you think you need therapy or not? Which I believe you do, because even if you are very aware, like my buddy old pal Richard here, I still believe you need therapy, but of course he feels different.
Okay, in my circumstance, what would I need therapy for? If just pitch me on therapy. Pitch me on therapy.
For you.
Just pitch me. If
I would say, honestly, like, just observing you, just knowing you, I would say, yes, you are aware, of course, and you like to get in the root of things. You're always very problem solving. Like, that's how your brain operates, which is super beneficial. I do believe that you do act emotional awareness.
Yeah.
Because I believe that you're so on a go, as in like, okay, this is the problem, right? Okay, forget it. Let's just go ahead and fix it. And not every scenario requires a solution right then and there. Sometimes scenarios can be like, hey, I don't want to do that right now, but let's just like soak in like what's going on. Let's process what's going on. But I want you to be here and just go through this with me, or just be here for me and just listen. Yeah.
What happened?
Because how you're answering me. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. But yes, like, I believe with you, I can say that's the only part I would say that you would need therapy on, like, to be more emotionally in tune. Because I feel like you're just a problem solver and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
No, you don't.
No, I do.
Funny.
No, I get you. I get you 100%.
Like, you're not so much a person that's gonna tap into the feelings aspect. It's more, okay,
how we gonna get
this?
Yeah, for sure. That's real. So you think that would require therapy?
I believe so.
Okay.
Because you operate like that, like, for a long time.
Mm-hmm. I can see it. I can see it. That was a valid pitch.
Okay.
Yeah. Will I be going to therapy though?
Oh my goodness,
hey, it was a great episode though, man. We're gonna be on this topic forever, but
right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for another episode of Bold in Christ. Please leave some comments below. What do you guys think, honestly? When it comes to therapy, is it beneficial or is it a waste of time? Woo!
Let us know, man. Catch you on the next video, bro.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.